One sunny morning, the rarest monsters, silver slimes, appear on the ground. Two guys are watching them while hiding behind the trees. Suddenly, one of them starts running toward the slime monsters, but the other stops him, telling him to wait. The next moment, there's a critical hit that shatters the monster's cores. The guy's name is Yukito Takahashi. Due to this critical hit, he obtains S-rank items, silver slime armor, gloves, and boots. A young man in a green hoodie and a girl stare at him, shocked, because critical hits and rare item drops are extremely uncommon. The young man thinks that Yukito is truly a lucky person. Yukito himself isn't sure how he acquired all S-rank items. It seems like a reward for all his past suffering. We see a flashback of Yukito's previous life. He is a bronze-ranked adventurer, 85 years old, standing on the first floor of Tokyo's dungeon. Suddenly, a man displays his smartphone, showing that monsters are approaching. The outside is already lost and they need to escape. One guy suggests it's better to go deeper into the dungeon, but another disagrees, believing it's dangerous since monsters can come from the lower levels too. He then turns to Yukito, advising him to escape, saying it's not the time to hunt monsters. He pats the hero's shoulder, but the hero yanks his hand away and walks toward the slimes, ignoring the young man's warning. The others tell the young man to leave the old man alone. They mock him, saying he's a useless old geezer whose stats never improve. A man pushes the old man, causing him to fall. The elderly man lies on the ground with his hood knocked off his head. Decades have flown by quickly. Things have changed since the adventurer first emerged. Individual growth is now linked with a familiar status system. A person's level increases only when they defeat a monster. As the level rises, their attributes evolve as well. A young man once dreamed of raising his strength by at least 5 points. Sometimes adventurers even gain magic and abilities. That's considered normal. But in Yukito's case, he is at level 98. Yet his strength, vitality, and agility are still at 5. His dexterity is 4, magic power is 3, and resistance is 2. The old man has lived a long life and has put in more effort than anyone else. After years of defeating only weak monsters, he finally reaches level 98. He is the only one to ever reach this level through sheer persistence. The old man slays a lot of slimes. His attacks are so powerful that even his sword breaks. He is highly motivated to reach level 99, the final level, believing the reward will be worth all his hardships. When his sword breaks, he resorts to biting monsters with his teeth and eventually reaches level 99. His hands tremble. He can't believe he finally made it to the last level. He is overjoyed and drops to his knees, but falls into despair when he sees his strength has only increased by 1 point. He cries, thinking he wasted his entire life. Yukito is shattered, and hope has left his heart. He doesn't even have the strength to move. He is ready to die. The hero has lived the worst life. He couldn't save his mother, ruined his sister's happiness, and was looked down upon by everyone. He weeps, thinking it's finally over. A monster attacks him and he dies. But the system detects a fatal error in Yukito's stat system. As an apology, he is reincarnated with +9999 bonus luck points. The hero wakes up. His vision is still blurry. A lady smiles at him, congratulating him on becoming an adventurer. Yukito is confused, wondering what is going on. The girl asks if something is wrong. Takahashi nervously thanks her for the pendant. A little later, when the hero is alone, lost in his thoughts, he stares at his smartphone screen. He realizes it is definitely the same day he registered as an adventurer. The green-eyed man is truly confused and remembers seeing something about bonus points. He opens his stats. He laughs, seeing that his attributes are the same as before. Then he scrolls down and is stunned to discover another column on the screen. Luck, which wasn't there earlier. His luck stat is maxed out. The hero is bewildered, thinking that surely this trait must have been a hidden parameter in his past life. Still uncertain due to his misfortune over the last 70 years, he decides to confirm it by hunting some slimes. The hero finds himself on the first floor of Tokyo's dungeon, known as Indelible Footprints. Yukito spots his target, the slime monsters, and they feel strangely familiar to him. Suddenly, he notices movement out of the corner of his eye. He is shocked to see the ultra-rare silver slime, a monster that only appeared once in his previous life before quickly fleeing. The silver slime is known for its enormous points, but infamous for its tendency to escape at the first sign of danger. Behind the creature, Takahashi thinks he can catch it with just one sword strike. But then, a flash of light catches his attention, an arrow embedded in the ground. The man who threw it apologizes. Yukito curses the person inwardly. A rare slime would surely flee from such a loud noise. But to his surprise, the slime doesn't run. Instead, it prepares to attack Yukito. The slime charges toward the hero. He strikes back, his sword landing a direct blow to the core of the silver slime, slicing it open. The hero's level increases fourfold in an instant. His hit was so powerful that it split his sword in two. He now needs a new weapon. Suddenly, a flash of light appears nearby. Yukito can hardly believe his eyes. It's an S-rank rare item, a sword. This is a great start for the green-eyed boy. The silver slime great sword increases attack power, but carries a 30% chance to miss attacks. Yukito is pleased with the sword, and prepares to continue hunting. He looks around and is stunned to see 4 silver slimes. He wonders if he's dreaming. The 4 monsters charge toward him simultaneously. Yukito realizes he has no choice but to fight. Given the characteristics of his new weapon, Takahashi realizes that defeating them all at once isn't possible. He attacks again and again, landing multiple critical hits. The hero is astonished to see all of the monsters fall, leaving behind silver armor, boots, and gloves. After an hour of hunting, he has slain 10 silver slimes, collecting rare items from each one. By now the hero is convinced that his luck is genuine. Feeling elated, he lies back in the grass, gazing at the sky. He thinks that with this luck, he can undoubtedly become an exceptional adventurer. He dreams of making his family proud, his sick mother and sister. With a hopeful heart, the green-eyed boy raises his hand toward the sky, imagining all he can accomplish. Suddenly Yukito sits up, realizing he has a home to return to. After 70 years of solitude, he longs to see his family again. He stands and runs toward his home, unsure of which room on the second floor is his. Having been homeless for the last years of his life, he's forgotten the layout. Eventually, he finds his apartment, 213. The nameplate reads Takahashi. His hands tremble as he reaches for the door handle. He wonders why he feels so nervous, but he steadies himself with deep breaths. Just as he's about to open the door, it swings open on its own, revealing his sister. She too has the same green eyes. She greets him. In a rush, the young man pulls Nozomi into a tight embrace. She's confused by his sudden actions and wonders if this is some sort of prank. Nozomi asks him to let go, but Yukito holds her even tighter. This time, he won't let anyone take his family or his precious things away. The hero tells Nozomi everything that happened. She is amazed because they can help their mom by luck, but it is going to take some effort. The next day, Yukito sold rare items, and with the money, he decided to get something. Takahashi attended an auction and placed a bid of 10 million yen. He managed to get the highest grade status ailment treatment potion. The hero then goes to the hospital. Yukito, along with Nozomi, visited the hospital room where their mom was admitted. They asked permission before entering the room and greeted their mom. Mom is very happy to see her children and inquires how they are doing. Yukito replies that they should be the ones asking that. Nozomi opens the box that she bought and shows her mom delicious goodies. The woman thanks her and says that she shouldn't bring anything next time and should use the money on herself. The young man tells her mother that they don't need to worry about the money, and the green-eyed girl adds that they have another gift too. The patient's face becomes surprised and asks what it is. Yukito replies that it may sound weird, but mom needs to drink this. He hands a bottle of elixir to the woman. Nozomi proudly explains that Big Brother earned the money from the dungeon and bought it for her. The woman is surprised because Yukito just became an adventurer. How does he manage to buy such an expensive item? The green-eyed man says that he just got lucky and urges his mom to drink the elixir. The woman carefully opens the bottle and drinks it. Suddenly, the woman's body glows. Nozomi and Takahashi are keeping their eyes on the woman and ask how she feels. The woman happily replies that she feels much lighter. She feels incredibly relieved. The hero smiles, feeling great. Nozomi exclaims, "Good job, brother." The woman tells them that the potion tasted very bad, so her son handed a dessert to cleanse her palate. When the woman is checked by the doctor, he tells her that her symptoms have alleviated and the disease stopped progressing. She needs to go to a short rehab. After rehab, she is permitted to recover at home. All three can live under the same roof again. This feels like a dream. For the first time in a while, the woman is able to eat food at home. Afterwards, she began washing dishes. The green-eyed girl is very happy that their mom is getting well, but Yukito says it's still not enough. Nozomi is looking at him, waiting for an explanation. The hero explains that the potion is just a temporary measure. It can't cure the root cause. This makes the green-eyed girl upset, and she wonders what they should do. The hero says that they need a much more powerful L-rank item, e.g., an elixir. Nozomi has seen something like that advertised on TV. An item found by the world's best adventurer. The elixir can be found 50 floors deep and can't be sold or bought. The sister thinks that this item is truly unique. The hero agrees. A unique item is a special item that can be used only by the person who finds it. A glory that can be obtained by those who defeat the strong. The green-eyed girl asks if they can't buy it. Do they have to find it themselves? The sister wonders if her brother could go to the depth of the 50th floor. Yukito says he would die. The girl decides that in that case, they couldn't get the elixir. The hero smiles and clarifies that only in theory he would die, but now, not only he got lucky, but also can use his previous life knowledge as a weapon. He remembers that the elixir could also be found on high floors. He knows an exception. The boss on the 20th floor, the ancient golem. The boss's rare drop is the elixir, but the chance of him appearing is relatively small as it's a rare item. The hero thought in his previous life he only heard about the elixir once, but with his current luck, he can definitely obtain it. The sister notices a suspicious expression on his brother's face. Yukito asks if he is really making a suspicious face. The girl just winks, thinking that her brother can do anything. The young man is encouraged by his sister's words, but he still needs some preparations. Nozomi is confused by the word preparations. The hero is sure that there is always a way. He then walks over to their family picture. He needed things to go deeper in the dungeon. First, he needed equipment. A large silver slime sword features high attack power. There is a 30% chance to miss attacks. The sword is coated with silver slime tears that can reduce the effective damage by 1/3 probability. While he is packing, his sister watches him closely. She inquires if Yukito is going to the dungeon. The hero replies yes. The green-eyed girl asks if her brother is really going to go like that. Usually warriors wear much heavier armor. The hero responds that his stats are low. The boy looks at his stats and realizes that he can only hope for luck, because with those stats he won't be able to pull full armor. He can just bring the sword. Yukito thinks that due to his critical hit there are many skills. One of them is Great Layering Strike, a skill that delivers a critical attack with a 30% chance. Nozomi asks if the hero wants to increase his performance. There is a 5th floor. The young man remembers Alice Crown Broken Forest. Monsters in that forest have a rare drop called Miracle Fruit. The sister asks her brother to be careful and gives him the lunch that she packed for him. Takahashi thanks her. One package of food displays in the system window. The hero opens the door and leaves for his adventure. He then reaches the 5th floor, known as Broken Forest. Almost the entire place is filled with plant-type monsters, so it's an easy stage, but it's still considered low level, which is already cleared by many adventurers. Yukito thinks that as long as he has a map with him, there shouldn't be any problems. He continues his journey and reaches the Treant colony. Treants are monsters that use camouflage to hide, so they are difficult to distinguish from ordinary trees, but their camouflage isn't perfect. If a person looks closely, their leaves lack veins or direction, and their roots grow strangely. The hero then spots a tree with such characteristics. The Treants use their roots as legs to move around. The moment the hero sees the red eyes, he becomes happy. He then uses a critical hit and slashes the monster. Yukito thinks that as long as he is careful about surprise attacks, he can easily defeat the monsters. He then finds a miracle fruit, which is a rare drop. Yukito eats the fruit, exclaiming that it tastes like apple or pear. It doesn't matter though, as his strength has increased by 1%. The miracle fruit has a minor stat boosting effect. After that, the hero crazily hunts Treants. He fights and eats again and again. During this, the hero gets very bored of the fruit's taste, so he eats the food his sister packed. The hero then opens the window that shows his stats. He realizes that he reached his maximum growth ability. His strength has increased by 27 points, his vitality by 25, dexterity by 16, agility by 15, magic by 13, and resistance by 14 points. Now he is finally at the average level of a warrior at his stage. He decides to stop. Suddenly he feels someone's presence. He sharply turns and asks who is there. Someone replies that he can't take all of the goods for himself. This newcomer needs a lesson. 2 men appear in front of the green-eyed boy, one with golden teeth and the other with a golden ring. Yukito responds that he didn't see any adventurer credentials and questions the men if they are guys who profit from the expense of others. The smaller man admits yes and says there is a boy who is just depending on his equipment. The man with the golden teeth says that if Yukito leaves his equipment behind, they are going to spare his life. The hero knows about crawlers, wanderers, illegal criminals who commit crimes, but he never expected to encounter them. The tall man mocks the hero, asking if he is too scared to speak. The hero tells them that he doesn't have a twig to spare for criminals. This makes the men angry. They mock Yukito, calling him an ignorant fool, and say that if he refuses to give them the equipment, they are going to kill him. The smaller man calls the hero a weakling, saying he can't win 2 against 1. The hero attacks them using the Mighty Layer Strike skill. The tall man laughs, saying there is no way a trash skill that misses 70% of the time would hit him. The man then attacks the hero with Bee Sting Strike, but the hero dodges his attack. The tall man is shocked, thinking there is no resistance. The hero then strikes him, causing him to fall. The shorter man believes that the hero has incredible luck. Yukito sternly declares that now it's one-on-one. He lets out a sigh of relief and explains that Bee Sting Strike is a skill that can only be learned after reaching level 25, which means his opponent is at a higher level than him. He further elaborates that Bee Sting Strike is a highly accurate hit, making it nearly impossible to evade. However, the downside is that the skill reduces attack power by 30%. The slime tears on the hero's clothes reduce the damage, and he only takes 30% of the original damage. If he hadn't had luck, there might be a hole in his stomach. The smaller man gasps, thinking that the hero took his partner Yamada down in just 1 hit. The hero tells the smaller man that if he surrenders, he might forgive him. This makes the man with the gold ring upset. He retreats, claiming that the hero is underestimating him. He exclaims that for someone like him, dealing with a warrior like Yukito from a distance is easy. The hero agrees, saying that there is nothing he could do to him from that much distance. The thief mockingly laughs, asking if Yukito has decided to surrender. The hero confidently replies that he is never going to do that. He then pulls out a decorative tree branch from his stats screen. The thief laughs, asking if the hero even knows what he's holding. Yukito responds that he exactly knows what he is holding. The green-eyed man states that the branch is known as Random Staff. He just picked it from a Treant that didn't drop any fruit. The smaller man thinks that the hero is an amateur. The Random Staff is rare but really unstable garbage that activates random magic. He then adds that its effect is entirely based on probability, meaning the green-eyed man's chances of casting a successful spell are quite small. The thief calculates Yukito's odds of success. There is a 40% chance of failure, 30% chance of beginner magic, 9% for intermediate magic, and 20% for debuffs or buffs. He then looks at his unconscious partner, thinking that even if the hero gets lucky, it's still impossible for him to cast the desired spell. The thief also considers that he is using the enchanted fireball weapon, a mid-tier magic spell, and he is certain that Yukito will not be able to win even if the hero somehow manages to cast an intermediate level spell. The thief possesses extremely powerful magic beyond level 50. After all the calculations the thief made in his head, he is sure that his victory is guaranteed. The thief overconfidently decides to put an end to Yukito's luck. The small man attacks the hero with a fireball. The hero doesn't even flinch and calmly remarks that finally the thief decided to use his magic. The green-eyed man then winks, announcing that he is ready to cast a spell as well. The random staff then starts glowing, surrounded by a strange energy. The energy causes an enormous amount of fiery power. This energy then forms a fireball hovering over Yukito. Once the fireball is huge enough, the hero directs it towards the fireball the thief has launched. After seeing this, the thief collapses to the ground in utter shock. He can't believe that Yukito has cast such an advanced spell, especially since the probability of his succeeding is no more than 0.05%. The giant fireball is now coming directly towards the thief. The small man convinces himself that this is all an illusion. But when the meteor draws closer to him, he realizes that it's not an illusion. He lets out a scream. Moments later, the entire area is covered in flames. The thief is lying on the ground unconscious. Meanwhile, Yukito is standing still, holding the magic branch and flexing his luck. Hiro let out a sigh after winning. Then he realized he couldn't leave the wanderers here. While cutting vines from the tree, Hiro thought it would be difficult, but he had to carry the criminals to the surface. Yukito tied the thief with vines and began dragging him along. Hiro then moved from the 5th floor to the 1st floor. Upon reaching the 1st floor, he handed the wanderers over to the police. He gave his statement to the authorities, which took a long time. The sun set and Yukito was exhausted. The next day, Hiro headed straight to the guild to inform them about the situation. He apologized for the delay. The guild staff member confirmed if he was Yukito. She then saluted, informing Yukito that the police had already explained everything to the guild. Hiro felt relieved because now he wouldn't have to explain everything himself. The staff member congratulated him and announced that Yukito had been promoted to silver rank. The green-eyed boy was surprised upon hearing the word promoted. He thought there must be some mistake as he didn't feel deserving of the title. She explained that promotion to silver wasn't easy. Even for exceptional players, it usually took 3 years. A person needed to submit specific items, kill monsters, and contribute significantly to the guild to reach silver rank. The staff member then informed him that it was official since the people captured by Hiro were members of the Red Bull Gang. Yukito remarked that the Red Bull Gang was a well-organized anti-social group, so his contributions had significantly increased. The staff member agreed and complimented Yukito, saying that both members he captured were silver rank. Hiro was shocked and realized the thieves had been quite strong. He had actually been in serious trouble. The girl handed him the silver rank pendant. Hiro laughed, saying he was just lucky. The staff member told Hiro there was no need to be humble, and the guild expected him to explore beyond the 1st floor. Adventurers have restrictions on which floors they can explore. Bronze rank can go up to the 10th floor, silver up to the 30th, and gold has no restrictions. Hiro put on the pendant, saying he wanted to explore at least the 20th floor. The girl nervously looked at him and warned that it was a difficult area. She advised him not to go alone, at least. Hiro thanked her for the advice and walked away. The green-eyed boy realized that he had ranked up earlier than expected, and that capturing the wanderers had been fortunate for him. Suddenly, someone called out to Hiro. He turned to see an old man standing with a stick. The old man asked if he was the one who killed the Red Bull Gang members. Yukito explained that the wanderers attacked him, so he fought back. The old man trembled, took Takahashi's hand, and started crying. He thanked him. Hiro was confused. The old man explained that Takahashi had captured criminals that even the police couldn't catch. Hiro denied it, saying he was just fulfilling his duty as an adventurer. The man bowed deeply, grateful. Hiro was surprised by the man's reaction. The old man emotionally told him that now he could give a good report at his son's grave. Yukito stood still, watching the grieving father walk away, reflecting that in his previous life, he had never been thanked for anything. He looked at the hands the old man had grabbed, acknowledging that this felt meaningful. He recalled that the world was destined for destruction, just like in his previous life. But now, knowing the future, should he try to change fate? He then shrugged, thinking he was not a world savior, just a slime hunter. The most important thing for him right now was to save his mom. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to flickering torches and sharp weapons. A huge bald man angrily slammed his fist on the table. He refused to believe that his partners, Yamada and Hashimoto, had been taken down. The bald man's eyes were full of rage. They couldn't afford to fail or show weakness to their higher-ups. He picked up a sharp knife and slammed his hand on a newspaper showing Yukito's picture. Then, using the knife, he cut through Yukito's image, declaring his intention to kill him. He set the knife aside and picked up the newspaper again, thinking he should be careful since Takahashi had defeated 2 members of the Red Bull Gang alone. He then reached for a scarf hanging nearby, wrapped it around his head, and muttered that Hiro was now his target. Yukito is standing on the 15th underground floor. He surveys his surroundings, noting that it's the peak of Lonely Mountain. He observes the treacherous mountain terrain and narrow pathways. Meanwhile, another group of adventurers appears at the same location, debating whether they should split in half. Yukito realizes that exploring as a group here is very difficult, and it's hard to see others clearly. He recalls reading in the dungeon manual that this area is often used for crimes. He then pulls his sword free and remarks that it's a perfect stage for a solo hunter like himself. Suddenly, he notices a massive bird hurtling towards him at high speed. He knows he needs to level up before challenging the 20th floor. He plans to gain skills by attacking the bird. Originally, he intended to acquire points by hunting slimes, but having hunted quite a few, they have stopped appearing. Yukito then encounters another monster and defeats it as well. The hero is determined to kill as many monsters as possible to maximize his skills. He continues slaying monster after monster. As a result of his efforts, he obtains a new warrior equipment set consisting of a bow, sword, and a pair of gloves. Unbeknownst to him, someone is watching Yukito's every move. A member of the Red Bull Gang seeking revenge. The man scrutinizes Yukito carefully, confirming his identity after seeing him fight alone without armor. Filled with anger, the man resents that Yukito dared to step into his territory and believes he is being underestimated. However, he decides not to attack Yukito yet, choosing instead to wait for the moment when the hero lets his guard down. The man, wrapped in a scarf, realizes the hero intends to stay on this floor for a while. A brilliant idea strikes the bald man. He doesn't need to attack Yukito directly. He has the advantage because Takahashi is in his territory. He reflects that just like nature, an ecosystem exists among monsters too. Then he reaches a nest of giant birds sitting beside their chick. Taking advantage of the situation, the man destroys the nest and kills the chick, which was feeding on insects. The first step of his plan is to reduce the population of predators and increase the prey. The second step is to increase the number of prey. For this purpose, he goes to a site where insects are abundant. He scatters a large amount of food for the monsters. The insects grow rapidly, so this abundance of food will cause overpopulation. After this, he returns to his room and waits for his plan to take effect. In other words, the entire scheme will appear as nothing more than a natural accident. Simply bad luck for the adventurer. He is confident this method will kill the hero without attracting the authorities. The man begins his final step. Using a repellent, a C-rank element known to repel medium-sized monsters. He scatters the repellent over the insects, causing them to fly away in massive numbers to escape it. He grins, muttering that the insects are going to devour the green-eyed man completely. Meanwhile, the hero is still slaying monsters when he hears strange noises. He wonders about the source of the sound. He is shocked to see a swarm of death hoppers. Yukito thinks it's impossible for him to handle the death hoppers alone and that he needs to cooperate with other adventurers. He runs away from the swarm, wondering where he can find a group strong enough. He then remembers hearing about a supply base somewhere on this floor in his past life. The conversation had mentioned that ever since the establishment of the Triangle Mountain-based clearing, exploration of Lonely Mountain Peak has become significantly easier. Someone noted that this base is located within Red Earth Cave. But for some reason, the cave's location wasn't marked on the hero's map. He then heads towards a steep cliff and jumps down, stabilizing himself with his sword. Once he reaches the bottom, he notices the color of the soil is different. He begins shouting loudly, calling out for adventurers. When he hears no response, he decides to force his way inside. He is shocked to see a large number of people tied up with ropes inside the cave, stripped down to their undergarments. Yukito stands frozen, wondering what his next move should be, what he should do now. For a moment, he thought that he had entered the middle of a ritual, but then he notices that everybody is restrained. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, the hero grabs his sword and moves into the cave. He expertly slices all the ropes that bind the captives. After being freed, the people show their gratitude to Yukito for saving them. They had lost all hope. The hero asks what happened. One of them explains that they were ambushed by thieves and lost consciousness. A woman angrily informs him that the thieves didn't kill them because they wanted to sell them. Takahashi stands still, realizing that the support base for adventurers has turned into a crime scene. He begins to wonder if he accidentally stumbled upon an event that is destined to happen. He recalls that in his previous life, the Wanderers were supposed to be arrested by authorities in the near future, and the place was meant to be repurposed as an adventurer base. It seems that he arrived earlier than when those events were supposed to happen. He recalls that in his past life he never paid much attention to events happening around him, and his sole focus had been hunting slimes for 70 years. He then shrugs it off, thinking that analysis can be done later. Looking at the captives, the green-eyed man understands that the situation is unexpected, and the only option is to use these captives against the monstrous death hoppers. He calls them, acknowledging their shock but urging them to listen carefully. He explains that a swarm of death hoppers is approaching them. There are an uncountable number of hoppers. Upon listening to him, people are left stunned to see the enormous amount of death hoppers. One of them asks him if he is certain that these are all death hoppers. Another person exclaims that there are too many. Yukito addresses them, saying that there is no time to debate and if they want to survive, they have to cooperate with him. People are confused to hear the word cooperate. A woman says that it's impossible as they don't even have armor. One of them agrees, reminding that the thieves had stolen all their equipment too. Yukito smiles, informing them that he has equipment. He then opens his inventory and pulls out a huge number of weapons. He lays out all the weapons in front of them, telling everyone to go choose what they want. He can even transfer ownership to them. The group gasps in disbelief, asking if he is serious as these are all drop items from the floor. A woman exclaims that all of them are rare. A man wonders how Yukito collected so many of them. At this moment, they begin questioning among themselves who the hero really is, as none of them have ever seen him in the adventurer's ranking. Everyone then starts to pick out the weapons they prefer. One man chooses swords. His companion complains, but then settles on a spear instead. Some choose protective armor, believing that it is more crucial than any weapon. The person who picks the sword is happy and remarks that if he were to sell it, he would make a fortune. Everybody is happy with their armor and weapons. A woman wonders if the green-eyed man is really giving them all these weapons. The hero tells them that in return, can they let him command them. The group is gossiping. Everybody agrees, as he saved their lives and gave them equipment too. He then recalls the time a man pushed him when he was an old man. He then thanks them for agreeing. He then looks at the surroundings and realizes that they can use the cave's narrow entrance as their advantage. In this way, they only have to face a limited number of death hoppers at once. He announces that everybody has to focus on reducing the numbers. Everybody is preparing for battle while Yukito stands at the front gripping his sword. In a firm voice, he declares that the time to fight has come. At that moment, monsters started flooding into the cave. The hero takes the lead, cutting down the hoppers precisely with his sword. The rest of the adventurers fight behind him, using the weapons he gave them. Meanwhile, outside the cave, an enormous number of monsters gather but struggle to enter due to the narrow entrance. However, as the battle continues, the monsters begin striking the entrance, forming cracks in the rocky walls. Because of their sheer numbers, the passage starts widening. With the entrance expanding, more monsters begin pouring into the cave. Seeing the never-ending swarm, one of the adventurers shouts that there are too many of them. His companion concurs, remarking that there's no end in sight. Yukito overhears them and notices the swarm isn't making any progress. He realizes their plan isn't working. Suddenly, the ceiling of the cave starts cracking. One of the members alerts everyone that the cave is about to collapse. The hero orders them to retreat without breaking formation. The entire ceiling collapses, allowing the monsters to flood in. One adventurer voices his concern that if this continues, the monsters might consume the whole mountain. The group turns to Takahashi, seeking a new plan. He surveys the surroundings, realizing the cave is unstable and unfinished. Then he spots a bomb outside the cave. He suspects the wanderers might have left the dynamite behind while trying to expand the area. Hurriedly, he picks up the bombs, realizing they can turn this into an advantage. A notification appears. Yukito has obtained dynamite of poor quality. He immediately calls out to the adventurers, instructing them to collect all the dynamite. The adventurers spread out, searching the area. One of them finds dynamite and acknowledges it might be used as a weapon. A sense of uncertainty spreads among the adventurers as they are still unsure exactly how they will use the dynamite. Yukito and the adventurers continue battling the Death Hoppers for several hours. 2/3 of the mountain have been destroyed. Even after all their efforts, the monstrous assault shows no sign of stopping. The cave is entirely overrun with monsters. 2 adventurers stand frozen. The girl's voice trembles as she says they are completely trapped. Others exclaim that they are out of stamina and the wall won't hold much longer. Yukito tells everyone to give him all the dynamite, realizing the gravity of the situation. One by one, they begin handing it to him. The first adventurer who does so remarks that he doubts this amount will be enough to wipe out the monsters. Another adds that it's like a drop in the ocean. A sense of hopelessness lingers among the adventurers. Yukito devises a plan. He intends to use the dynamite to collapse the entire area, burying the monsters under the rubble. He retrieves the collected dynamite from his inventory. Considering the fact that Death Hoppers have extremely low intelligence, he begins strategically placing the dynamite in different locations, recalling that monsters always target the individual who has killed the most of their kind, in this case, Yukito. At that moment, the monsters manage to break open a significant hole in the cave ceiling. One of the adventurers warns everyone that the cave is about to collapse. The hero then yells, instructing the adventurers to run. Everyone starts running, but one pauses at the exit and asks if the hero intends to sacrifice himself by taking the Death Hoppers with him. Another adventurer scoffs, saying the warrior can't even use his weapon properly. The hero offers a confident smile before replying that he knows exactly what he's doing and simply asks them to trust him. As planned, all the monsters gather around the hero. Standing still, he reflects that there are moments in life when a person must take risks. He then issues a command to the system, activating full detonation of the dynamite. A notification pops up asking for confirmation. Yukito immediately approves it. He then leaps out of the cave, calling the Death Hoppers. Suddenly, a new notification appears, warning him that the success rate of detonation is only 50%. The hero realizes his level is insufficient to use such an ability, but thinks he can succeed due to his luck stats. Another notification pops up, revealing that because the items are crude, the success rate has dropped to 25%. Then a new notification confirms that the detonation is successful. The hero breathes a sigh of relief upon seeing it. At that moment, all the dynamite explodes simultaneously, killing the monsters inside the cave. While Yukito descends safely, avoiding the blast, the hero uses the Great Layer Strike sword skill, killing the remaining insects at once. The battle seems over, but then the green-eyed boy spots a massive insect. It's a stubborn one. Yukito stares at the monster carefully, declaring that this is the monster's end. He prepares his final strike using the bee sting technique. He delivers a critical hit. The adventurers watching the entire battle notice the giant insect is targeting Yukito specifically. The hero tries to steady himself by stabbing his sword into the rocks to prevent further descent, but his sword slips, causing him to fall. Just then, a rope is suddenly thrown toward him, and a voice calls out, urging him to grab on so they can pull him up. Yukito grabs the rope. All the adventurers who escaped the cave work together to hold the rope, pulling the hero upward. They successfully haul him up. The hero sits on the edge, reflecting that he won because of his luck. The adventurers gather around the green-eyed boy, expressing their gratitude. One woman tells him that he saved all their lives. Another adds that 0 casualties in a monster panic seem like a miracle. The entire group is filled with joy. Yukito feels a deep sense of fulfillment. The scene shifts to another location where the gang member responsible for the attack is very angry and destroys everything around him after hearing about Yukito's success in eliminating the swarm. His anger increases as he realizes that the hero destroyed their base too. He begins to panic, understanding that at this rate, he is going to be killed by the higher-ups. Blaming the hero for everything, the man grabs a bottle of liquor, gulping it down. He becomes extremely angry and decides that he is going to kill the hero even if it costs his life. Meanwhile, at the Adventurers Guild, Yukito is standing at the center with all eyes on him. He realizes that he has become famous among adventurers due to recent events. The guild receptionist approaches him with a smile, telling him that he has done it again and has been promoted. The adventurers around him murmur. One person exclaims that the hero is the guy who destroyed the mountain. Another adventurer, a woman, remarks that she heard the hero also saved a large number of people. In another corner, 2 guild members observe him closely. One of them tries to recruit Yukito into his guild, but before he can finish, the other interrupts, insisting the hero join his guild instead. Yukito struggles to make his way through the crowd, ignoring those attempting to approach him. He refuses to join any guild. Everyone is looking at him shocked. He thinks that he has no time for friendships or alliances. His main goal is obtaining the healing elixir. He then opens his inventory and reflects on how reward distribution in group battles is random. Furthermore, the chances of others obtaining rare items are low, making him realize that luck alone isn't enough. He exits the guild, reminding himself that in his past life, he was always solo, so this isn't new for him. He then returns home only to be greeted by a lavish dinner. His sister excitedly tells him that he can eat as much as he wants. The hero joins his mother and sister at the dining table. The atmosphere is filled with gratitude. Then they say their prayers, giving thanks for the meal. At that moment, the hero feels the warmth of family, feeling nostalgia. He realizes that despite their poverty, their family would never miss celebrations. His sister Nozomi excitedly chats, praising him for his incredible win, informing him that now he is finally eligible to take on the challenge of the 20th floor. Their mother looks at the hero with concern, asking if he is truly okay. She mentions that neighbors told her the 20th trial is a turning point for every adventurer. Nozomi adds, with a hint of worry, revealing that she researched it online and found that only 15% of adventurers are able to ever reach the 20th floor. The mother scolds Nozomi for putting away his phone during dinner. Yukito reassures his mother and sister that he is truly fine, telling them that he has achieved such things in a short time. His mother glances at the newspaper clipping featuring his son's photo. She tells him that she is very proud of the hero's achievement, but doesn't want him to push himself too hard, explaining that no parents would be happy to see their child sacrifice themselves. Yukito recalls memories of his mother's death, and his eyes fill with tears. He replies that no child wants to see their parents sick. His mother starts to say something else, but Nozomi interrupts her, insisting that there is no point in discussing this anyway. She further states that her brother has always been stubborn. Once he decides to do something, nothing can change his mind. Their mother sighs, telling Yukito that he is just like his father. The hero continues eating, reassuring his family that he is doing all this because it makes him happy. His mother and sister return to the meal. While the hero is watching his mother, he reflects on how he couldn't save his mom in his previous life. This fact is struck in the hero's heart. He wants to erase the past, and for that, he needs the elixir. After finishing his meal, Yukito prays in gratitude. He then leaves his house to continue his mission. The scene shifts to the 20th floor of the dungeon, known as the Great Wall of Hyperphysics. As soon as he steps in the dungeon, he notices that the 20th floor is entirely different from any other floor. Suddenly, two creatures appear before him, making the hero realize that every monster appearing on this floor is inorganic. This is the first time he is encountering such creatures. He immediately attacks the creatures with swords, giving them no chance. He then remarks that these heartless, cold-blooded D-killers are a threat. He is then ambushed by an even more terrifying group of creatures attacking him from all directions. However, due to his combat ability, the hero is able to counter all the attacks and eliminate them with ease. He realizes that the danger doesn't lie in their strength, but in their systematic thinking. The hero then notices a gate, but in front of it lies a pile of rocks emitting a strong red glow. Suddenly the rocks begin to move, taking the form of an unusually strong monster. If Yukito analyzes the stone beast's pattern, defeating it is going to be possible. The monster launches its attack, and the hero attempts to block its blows and strike him. However, the hero's attack proves ineffective due to the creature's rocky exterior. Despite this, the hero is still motivated to conquer the 20th floor. As soon as the beast begins its next attack, Yukito leaps towards it, aiming his sword directly at the monster's eye. He defeats the monster with a critical hit. Yukito steps forward to open the gate that the monster was guarding. Today, Yukito is going to change his fate. As he opens the gate, he enters into a large hall where intricate magical ritual circles are designed on the floor. Suddenly, the door slams shut with force, and a massive stone monster appears. This one is larger and stronger than the gatekeeper. Yukito scans the entire body of the monster, trying to find any weakness. The monster begins to move, ready to attack the hero. The hero realizes that this monster is the boss of the 20th floor, known as the Ancient Golem. The hero recognizes that his opponent possesses a tough body and extra attack power. He determines that, for a boss, the monster's speed is average. He then attempts to strike the monster with his sword, but the attack has no effect. The hero decides to destroy the monster's core. The gang member is hiding behind a door, watching all of this. Suddenly, the magical circles on the floor glow red, and another monster appears. The hero is surprised to see this and looks around, trying to figure out the reason for it. He realizes that an intruder is present, but he senses no other presence. The idea of interrupting a boss battle, even a rookie wouldn't make such a mistake, especially on the 20th floor. Suddenly, the gang member throws a dagger at the hero, but despite the sudden attack, the hero easily deflects the dagger with his sword. The green-eyed boy is now sure that the double raid was not caused by accident. The intruder watches him with rage, unable to believe that Yukito managed to block the attack. However, he assures himself that despite the hero's skills, he can win because he is a thief of superior class. He thinks Yukito is an idiot for fighting the boss alone. He recalls the time when he entered the gate and caused the second boss to appear. The thief is confident that he is going to kill the hero with his stealth skills. It is revealed that the thief possesses the footstep skill, which allows him to move lightly among monsters. Additionally, he also has the shadow crossing ability that lets him enter monster zones and provoke them into rage. Furthermore, he has an invisibility cloak which reduces the user's visibility. Due to all these abilities, the thief is confident that he can defeat the boy. Yukito is analyzing his surroundings. For the hero, this is not an unfair fight but a 3-against-1 battle. The intruder then pulls out another dagger and coats it with poison. He remarks that if he manages to attack Yukito with the poisoned blade, the hero will instantly die. He throws the dagger toward Yukito, thinking that this way he can attack one-sidedly. The dagger reaches the hero, barely touching him and causing just a small scratch on his cheek. The thief is notified that his poisoning attempt failed. He is shocked and wonders where Takahashi is hiding the anti-poison equipment. He quickly assures himself that it doesn't matter, as the dagger was just a diversion. His real weapon is traps. After that, he tosses a set of small spheres. Suddenly, the spheres begin to release a huge number of tiny arrows that spread in every direction. He remarks that this trick alone can guarantee his victory. Then, using his shadow crossing skill, the intruder connects the hall pallets with electrically charged wires. He explains that he has always relied on his traps. He then comes up with a new tactic, saying that with so many traps in place, Yukito is not going to have any space to move. Then the boss is going to handle him automatically. The hero finds himself attacked by both bosses and completely surrounded with traps. The thief is very proud of his work and sits comfortably, stating that now he just has to enjoy the show. His smile fades when he realizes that Yukito is directly looking at him while dodging the traps. His shock increases when he sees the hero staring at him with a mocking smile, asking if he's done with all his tricks. The intruder's face is full of utter disbelief, and he wonders if Yukito found him. The hero taunts him, telling him not to be quiet. The intruder then throws a dagger at him, but he dodges it. The hero says that the gang member is stalking him because he is obsessed with him. The gang member is in disbelief and inquires how he knows his position. The hero replies that it's a famous skill. The man tells the hero not to lie. He believes that a low-level skill can't work against high-level skills. The hero then holds his swords and mocks the man, asking if it's not a lie, is he going to be scared and run away? This makes the man extremely angry as the hero is underestimating him. He then attacks the hero, yelling that he is the superior one. The green-eyed boy dodges his attack. He strikes the intruder with his sword, causing him to fall. The hero believes that only a savior can say that he is superior. He continues to strike the thief, and with each blow, the thief's frustration grows. The intruder can't believe that Yukito found him using a low-tier skill like warrior intuition. He once again accuses the hero of lying. Yukito responds that he is not lying. He does in fact possess the warrior instinct skill, which he activated on the 20th floor. This skill allows the user to detect surrounding dangers once activated. When the hero attempted to activate it, the success rate was less than 1%. But he relied on his luck, confident that it would work, and surely it did. At that moment, the hero began to perceive every danger around him, no matter the size. This allowed him to pinpoint the traps and the thief's exact location. The thief gathers his strength after being knocked down by Yukito. He remarks that the hero is faster than a warrior of such a low level. Yukito sarcastically thanks the gang member for the compliment before blocking his attack again. The thief comments that despite the hero's speed, he is still just a warrior. He continues confidently, explaining that he surpasses Yukito in agility and undoubtedly has better precision. At that moment, the thief manages to wound the hero's arm using a poisoned sword, this time infused with a paralyzing toxin. Yet, a notification immediately appears, indicating that the hero has successfully resisted the paralysis effect. The thief is taken aback by the fact that the hero is unaffected by this poison as well. He watches as the fight continues, acknowledging the hero's skill in preparing for unexpected situations. Suddenly, the hero surprises him with an incredibly high leap and vanishes. In the next moment, he reappears behind the thief, descending from a great height and striking with his sword. However, the thief is barely affected by the attack, swiftly moving to a distant spot and remarking that the hero remains in a weak position. The hero decides to use the bee sting technique, delivering a powerful strike toward the thief. But the thief laughs, admitting that it's an impressive and well-calculated attack. Yet, he cuts himself off and activates a combat technique known as butterfly dance, which allows him to move with exceptional agility and speed, making it impossible for the hero to land a hit. The hero, unable to understand how his opponent manages to evade him so easily, watches as the thief starts moving effortlessly, attacking while explaining that butterfly dance is a technique that combines flawless offense with perfect evasion. He adds that in battles between opposing skills, victory always belongs to the one with the higher level in rank. With his movement abilities enhanced by butterfly dance and the speed granted by cat's footsteps, the thief manages to wound Yukito once again. Feeling proud of his temporary advantage, he begins to speak confidently, shouting at Yukito and declaring that a slow warrior like him will never be able to catch him. However, blinded by his arrogance, he forgets the need to remain hidden to avoid detection by the monsters. As a result, the floor boss spots him and launches a powerful fireball in his direction. At that moment, the hero activates warrior's instinct to dodge the attack. The thief also manages to evade the flames, commenting with excitement on how thrilling the 20th floor is before resuming his assault on the hero. He then adds that he can dodge any attack from the floor boss since its movements follow a fixed pattern. He turns to the hero and asks if he obtained this information from the guild as well. The hero does not respond and instead focuses on blocking the thief's attacks, despite his injuries from the poisoned sword. However, he sustains another wound on his leg due to the sharp weapons scattered across the ground by the thief. The thief remarks that by now, the hero must have realized there are no unauthorized individuals on the 20th floor, meaning his defeat was inevitable from the very beginning of the fight. He then launches a strong attack on the hero using a technique called Scorpion's Edge. At this moment, the hero is severely weakened by his wounds and unable to defend himself. The thief then delivers a powerful strike that leaves him completely unable to stand. The hero collapses onto the ground. His weapon slips from his grasp, making him incapable of resistance. At that moment, the thief feels he has achieved his goal, believing it is time to land the finishing blow. He lunges at the hero, shouting that this is the end for him. The hero lets out a scream of terror as the thief charges at him, seeing him about to finish him off. But in the next instant, he glances at the thief with a sly expression before sticking out his tongue, saying that he was just joking. Following this, the stone starts to glow differently from the others. As a result, the thief suddenly finds himself trapped in a transparent bubble, sealing him in from all directions. Stunned by what just happened, the thief, who was so certain of his victory, stares in disbelief and asks if the hero just used a gravity trap against him. The hero rises to his feet, picks up his sword, and remarks that the thief kept insisting there were no unauthorized elements here, yet he still fails to see anyone around him. At this point, the bubble starts tightening around the thief, making it harder for him to even move his mouth properly. The hero then explains that the information the guild collects is only relevant to the floor's natural state. However, no one in the guild could have predicted that someone crazy enough would interfere and become part of a battle with the floor boss. At that moment, the thief's condition inside the bubble worsens, and even breathing becomes difficult for him. He gasps, questioning whether what is happening to him is real. Meanwhile, the two monsters begin moving toward the hero to attack. The hero blocks their assault, commenting that the double attack that occurred has altered the monster's behavior and how they respond. He mocks the thief, saying that the man calls himself a thief, yet he was completely unaware of the traps in this place. The thief's frustration grows as he exclaims that this is impossible, and the hero was supposed to fight as a warrior, not rely on traps. The bubble bursts, and the monsters attack him. The thief wonders how this is possible. One of the monsters then picks the thief up in its stony hands and throws him down. The intruder is severely injured and shocked that despite his search skills, he couldn't detect a top-tier trap. He asks how Yukito knows about it. Yukito replies that he used warrior intuition, just as he's been saying from the start. The intruder is severely injured and lies on the ground in pain. Yukito warns him to stay right there while he goes to handle the boss. His intention is to hand over the thief to the police, if he's still alive after those wounds. Suddenly, the intruder threatens the hero, telling him not to mess with him. The hero is shocked to see him laughing hysterically. Bombs are strapped to his body, implying that he doesn't plan to die alone. He informs Takahashi that these bombs are different from all the traps he's used before. Naturally, Yukito starts sweating, having no clue what kind of lunatic he is dealing with. Then the system asks for confirmation, and the thief confirms that he wants to use the bomb. There's a huge explosion. Everything is on fire. The floor collapses, and he falls into a hidden underground room. He didn't expect there to be a room down there. Then he realizes the exit is too high, he can't climb back up. Suddenly, the stone monster boss jumps down from above. Takahashi is now trapped. Then, something catches his eye. It's shining brightly from the corner of his vision. It's a treasure box. He remembers that hidden rooms generally contain treasure worth protecting. He quickly looks around. The room is too narrow for him to defeat the boss in a conventional fight. The only choice he has is to bet everything on the treasure. He attacks the boss, trying to reach the treasure hidden behind it, but he only gets injured in the process. He strikes the monster again with his sword, but his attacks aren't affecting the creature. The boss punches him, making him bleed. It attacks again. Takahashi hides behind a huge rock. He feels relieved that his spine isn't broken. But that relief is short-lived. The monster throws the rock away and stomps on him. He's severely injured. He's shocked that the boss keeps attacking. Now he's lying on the ground, drenched in blood after the boss's assault. He clenches his fist, determined not to give up despite the intense pain. The stone monster attacks again, causing more blood to pour out. But this pain is nothing to Takahashi. He has lived with the despair of being useless for 70 years. With unshakable resolve, he reaches the treasure. Inside the box is a shackle. Yukito grins slightly when he sees it and puts it on. The treasure has exactly what he needs. The shackle is known as the Bracelet of Teleportation, a tool that allows its user to teleport to any location. It's perfect for Yukito's current situation. The system prompts him for confirmation. At that moment, the monster is about to crush the hero with its massive arms. The system urgently warns Takahashi that he is not compatible with the magic tool, and the activation probability is only 50%. Then, the probability drops further to 35%, and the success rate reduces to just 15%. Suddenly, blue energy begins to surge from the bracelet, and the system notifies him that teleportation has been successfully activated. He reappears behind the first boss and stands determined to kill it. He strikes the monster's head with his sword. A red light bursts from the boss's head, triggering a violent explosion. Yukito quickly realizes it's going to be much harder to kill the second boss. It's still alive despite the damage caused by the blast. Takahashi once again uses the bracelet, teleporting directly to the boss's chest and stabbing its vital point with his sword. However, both monster bosses are still alive. The red light monster is about to throw a punch, but Yukito quickly teleports again. Then, the blue light boss launches an attack and he uses the bracelet once more to dodge. He motivates himself, telling himself that no matter how many times he needs to try, he's not going to give up. With that mindset, he leaps over the boss and strikes its vital spot once more. He continues using the bracelet's teleportation skill repeatedly, targeting the boss's vital points with swift sword strikes. He compares the situation to rolling dice over and over until you land on a 6 and praying that it works. The two monsters close in on him from either side, trapping Yukito in between. They're about to launch a simultaneous attack when he teleports at the last moment, causing the bosses to collide into each other and crash to the ground. Without wasting time, the hero unleashes B-string strike, landing a critical hit that shatters the body of the same first monster into small pieces. Then, with unwavering determination, he uses Mighty Strike to finish off the second boss. After finally killing the second golem, Yukito collapses onto the ground, severely injured and completely drained from the intense battle. The bracelet notifies him that it has reached its limit and now requires a recharge. The system then informs him that he has defeated the ancient golem boss twice and has obtained 2 L-rank elixirs. The elixirs appear right in front of him. Smiling at the sight of the bottles, he grabs one and drinks it. As he does, a green aura envelops his body, and he falls unconscious. The next morning, sunlight shines through the roof of the hidden room. Yukito slowly regains consciousness and finds himself holding the elixir bottle. The system notifies him that special conditions have been met and that it is going to grant him a special title. His vitality increases by 10, strength by 20, and dexterity by 10. Takahashi saves the elixir and bracelet into his system, then firmly grips his sword. He jumps into action, delivering multiple strikes. When he lands, he notices a white cloak soaked in blood. He wonders if that could be enough evidence to prove Kito's crime. He opens the boss room's door and makes his way back to the surface. Upon returning, he reports the entire incident to the guild and presents the cloak to the receptionist. She is completely shocked. Takahashi realizes that, apparently, he has done something quite significant. The receptionist rushes off to call someone from higher up. It looks like this incident is going to cause a serious commotion. Just then, a man approaches the hero, asking for an interview. Takahashi apologizes and turns down the offer, saying he doesn't have time. He returns to his building, carrying the elixir, wanting to give it to his mom. As he walks, people start staring at him, realizing he's the guy from the news. A giant TV mounted on a building displays that he now holds the fastest record for reaching the 20th floor. Eventually, he arrives at his apartment. His sister and mother welcome him with warm, cheerful smiles. He shows them the elixir. The next day, at the hospital, the doctor informs them that the detailed examination results for Yukito's mother have arrived. Her disease has been completely cured. Takahashi and his sister are overjoyed, asking the doctor to confirm it. The doctor explains that the elixir's effects are truly remarkable, and their mother is now healthy. The green-eyed girl starts crying tears of joy as she hugs her mom. Their mother gently holds Yukito's hand and sincerely thanks him. Yukito begins crying too, thanking her for raising him. These were the words he had wanted to say for a long time. The green-eyed girl, feeling a bit embarrassed, reminds him that they're still in the hospital and should continue this at home. The hero agrees. She then remarks that her brother often forgets to notice what's around him. Suddenly, everything turns gray, and a man enters the hospital room through the window. The Golden Man comments that it's sad such a warm family has to be made unhappy. The only good thing, he says, is that they're already in the hospital. The man prepares to attack Nozomi and even notes that her cause of death will be cardiac arrest. But Takahashi steps in and stops the attack, questioning what the man is doing. The man is shocked to see the hero moving, even after being exposed to his powers. Yukito looks at the intruder and realizes who he is. The man before him is the hero, the strongest adventurer and the legendary savior. The man introduces himself as Cosmorito Oyama. He shows off his necklace and explains that his profession is hero, and it's the real deal. Takahashi, still confused, asks why a hero is attacking Nozomi. Oyama explains that the barrier freezing everything around them is called the Void Barrier. Only those who have experienced the death of their soul can move within it. He finishes by declaring that Takahashi must be a regression-type person,